What's up, YouTube? So before we get into this video, breaking news on ESPN that Antonio Brown has been traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers over to the Oakland Raiders, soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders. So let's see what they have to say with Ryan Clark.
Listen, they were intimating that this was going to happen, but it's almost official. Your reaction to Antonio Brown, now an Oakland Raider?
He won. Period, point blank. He's the winner, you know.
So Antonio Brown definitely won. To get a chance to leave on your terms and do pretty much what you want to do. And I don't think he was a free agent either. So he got what he wanted. He wanted out, and now he's gone. And I think he really wanted to go. His first option that he wanted to go was to Oakland. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good deal for him. He's going to get paid, and he's going to get a whole fresh new start and just leave Pittsburgh behind. So he's leaving a Pittsburgh Steelers team that was, what, 9-6 last year? With this quarterback being Ben Roethlisberger. I do wish they could have gotten a championship together. I do believe Antonio Brown came on a year after they won the Super Bowl. What was that, like 2009? I think that Pittsburgh won the Super Bowl. So he didn't get a chance to get a ring. So maybe we'll have a chance over in Oakland. So we'll get into Oakland. Let's see what more Ryan Clark has to say.
I'm looking for, they say Drew Rosenhaus. I'm looking for Jerry Maguire. This is the type of deal that this is for Antonio Brown to basically force his way out of Pittsburgh, but to also force his way into new guaranteed money. And this is a guy who, for all intents and purposes, didn't go about this transition in the right way. But as
so what he means by that is Antonio Brown really said a lot of things that you probably wouldn't want to be saying to your employer about how you feel, because they can cut you or a lot of things can happen. But his on-play performances gives him enough clout, enough bargaining chips that he can run his mouth because he backs it up on the field. I think he's been the #1 receiver in the past, I think, 5 years. So he definitely has room to run his mouth and say what he feels and say what he wants to happen. Now, with that said, it's kind of hard when you clash with a Ben Roethlisberger, who's got, 2 Super Bowl wins? And I think he went to Super Bowl his second year. So Ben Roethlisberger has a lot of bargaining chips too. I'd say a little bit more, if not a lot more bargaining chips than Antonio Brown, just by the simple fact that he's a quarterback. And he's a 2-time Super Bowl quarterback. And he's going to go straight to the Hall of Fame too. So I really liked them, seeing them connect and gone to a Super Bowl and won. But that's just not happening because they're both going to be Hall of Famers. Hopefully for Antonio Brown. Hopefully Brown. Let's see how he finishes up. But, he got into a situation with Ben Roethlisberger. Then he got into with the staff and management. So it all just kind of crumbled down. Now, being 9-6 during the season didn't help. But now he has a fresh new start. So let's hear a little bit more of what Ryan Clark has to say.
And everything that he's wanted. And then if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're on the losing end of this. The only team that was in the business of giving up players of this caliber in the recent year was the Oakland Raiders.
So I'll touch on that in a second. The Pittsburgh Steelers are really missing out because I wish they could have really made this work. Because like I said, Antonio Brown has been like the #1 receiver in the past couple years. Now I know there's Julio Jones and I know there was Odell Beckham Jr., but Antonio Brown always held it down. Always held it down. So what Ryan Clark just talked about is the only team to give away such prized assets would have been when the Oakland Raiders gave away Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack was traded to the Chicago Bears, and last year he had 12.5 sacks. He only had 47 tackles, but that was because he got hurt. On average, since he's been in the NFL, he's averaged about 70 tackles a year. So with his 12.5 sacks that he got last year, that's his second most since he's been playing. I think the most he's ever had in a year was 15. So last year was a great year. And he was hurt. So that really hurt, the Oakland Raiders for Chuckie to get rid of Khalil Mack. A huge mistake. Especially the first game when he came back. He got like 2 sacks, an interception, returned to the house. It was crazy. Also, the Oakland Raiders gave away Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper, I think was the midway through the season, he was traded to Dallas. So he went to Dallas, and he got 53 receptions for 725 yards and 6 touchdowns. Needless to say, that was a big mistake by Chuckie, again, to get rid of him. So actually, half and half. So half the year, Amari Cooper, when he was with Dallas, got 53 receptions, 725 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And while he was with the Oakland Raiders still last year, he had 22 receptions for 280 yards and 1 touchdown. For a total with the Oakland Raiders and Dallas last year for 75 receptions, 1,005 touchdown yards, and 7 touchdowns. So needless to say, that's another bad move. Can you imagine if they still have both Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack compared with Antonio Brown right now? They would be well on the way to balling right now. Well on the way. That'd be the best way to arrive in Las Vegas and ready to go for a whole new start. Also, with Derek Carr. If Derek Carr can get back to playing to how he was, 2-3 years ago before he broke his leg, I think, in the playoffs, they were probably going to go to the big show a couple years ago. But he broke his leg, and I think he hurt his back or something. So, but that's all hypotheticals. But let's keep going.
So it's only fitting that this team gets a new shiny toy for Derek Carr, gets the best receiver in the league over the last 6 years, also locks him in, and only gives up a third and a fifth to get him. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers lose in this deal, but if you're Antonio Brown, you have to be ecstatic. You know, maybe you dye your beard blonde now, too, because you can do whatever you want.
It stands.
So it's true. Antonio Brown, he's got a whole new start. He get a whole new set of rules he has to deal with. So apparently, I guess when he was with Pittsburgh, I guess he couldn't dye his hair or whatever. I don't know. He just dyed his mustache, which looks kind of stupid to me, but that's his thing. So I guess now he has a whole new set of rules to play with in Oakland. So I guess he can dye his hair. And you know, the Raider Nation, those guys are crazy. And he's a crazy guy, too. Now, off the field is not bad. Well, he has a few off-the-field accusations, but I will touch on that later. But, you know, the Raider Nation is crazy. I think he's going to fit in just well in Oakland. I think he's going to do just fine in Oakland. But he's coming to an Oakland team that's 4-12. So that's going to kind of hurt. He's not necessarily used to losing, but 4-12 was pretty terrible. So he knows, and everybody knows, that he's going to be rebuilding. It's like when LeBron James went to Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to be rebuilding, restacking. Plus, Chuckie just signed a 2-year deal. So he's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So this is going to be bringing in heads. It's not cool what Oakland did getting rid of Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, but bringing in Antonio Brown is a great start. Like I said, if Derek Carr and him can start connecting, oh, man, if they can get a good running back, oh, it's going to be off the chain. And I think they have 3 first-round picks, the Oakland Raiders. So getting Antonio Brown, having 3 first-round picks, they're well on their way to rebuilding a championship caliber team. Well on their way. They might want to get another wide receiver too, because I think the other wide receiver, that the best one was Jordy Nelson, I think, and he's getting a little older. I think the other wide receiver or number 2 receiver was I don't know. I think he was a rookie last year. I can't remember. You guys can look that up. But let's keep going on.
The reason, Ryan, that, the Steelers will feel like they got a 3rd and 5th round pick for him that they ended up losing in this deal. But let's go, impact-wise. We talk about teachable moments. Antonio Brown bullied his way out of Pittsburgh, publicly flamed them, got guaranteed money, got an upgrade, got what he wanted. What kind of impact is this going to set for the rest of the league?
Isn't this is basketball-like, right? We see basketball players control their own futures, control their own destinies in this way. And we always felt like it couldn't be done in football. The division of ownership and labor is such a wide gap. We felt like no player could control where he goes, how he gets there, how much money he gets, the way that Antonio Brown has. And I think this is going to change the landscape of what many players try to do. I think this is something that could be a slippery slope, because I don't think every team will bow and allow a player to hold them hostage the way that Antonio Brown did.
That's very true. So Antonio Brown did set the tone for how players can be able to control their own destiny like they do in the NBA. But at the same time, you have to back it up. You can't just be some rookie, or you can't be some 2nd or 3rd year guy that's average and think you can control your own destiny and do what you want to do. And what Antonio Brown did, the things that he said to the people that he said, like with dealing with Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger has more bargaining chips than he does, because obviously he's the caliber type of player that he is. But Antonio backs up his play, so he can say whatever he wants to him. He can say what he wants to management because he backs it up. So these other players that might trying to look at what Antonio Brown did, you better be careful what you say, because you can get burnt. You better make sure your on-field production is stellar. You better be a stellar player to be able to think that you can do the type of things that Antonio Brown did and get away with it and control your destiny. You better be putting in work. So let's keep going.
Pittsburgh Steelers. And so going forward, I would like to see how this affects the other stars in the league when they feel like their time is up on a certain team or in a certain organization.
Now, that's, of course, what could potentially happen, right? The impact he could have business-wise when it comes to the NFL. But let's talk about the impact he could have on the Raiders, who it looked like over the last couple of seasons have been in rebuild mode. But now they add this guy at 30-plus years old to fit into this team. How do you think he fits in with the Oakland Raiders?
Well, I think what Antonio Brown does in between the lines is undeniable. And what John Gruden said about him before that matchup in Week 14 is exactly right. From the time Antonio Brown became a Pittsburgh Steeler, he was the hardest working player we had on the team. That's in practice.
See, and that's exactly why he's able to say what he said, because he's a baller. Let's keep it on. Let's keep going.
That's in the off season. This is a guy that was driven to be great for whatever those reasons were. That was the way he went about his work. So he's going to produce on the field. And he also goes to a team that needs a wide receiver, that needs some help, that is going to force feed him the ball. And he gets the two things he wants. He wanted money, he wanted it guaranteed, and he gets that. He goes to a place where he's the number one receiver, and it's undeniable, and he will get his footballs. He will get his opportunities to touch the ball. He never.
So he's definitely, he has a new home. He's definitely going to be the primary receiver by far in Oakland. He's going to get his touches. So I just hope, the only thing I'm kind of worried about is him dealing with the Oakland Raiders organization. They haven't been doing good the past couple years. So actually a long time. So how is he going to deal with when they're coming up and they might have another 4-12 season? How is he going to handle that? Because people are going to start pointing fingers. People are going to start blaming other people. They might say, well, look at you, Antonio Brown. We just gave you this huge contract and you haven't produced, or we're not winning. We're not at the Super Bowl. You know, the Raider Nation, those guys are somewhat spoiled because everybody knows the Raiders are some hogs. They have a history of being some hogs. So if they don't win, they don't produce, people are going to be looking at him like, dude, we brought you in. What's going on? So hopefully he handles that in a better way than I guess you could say he did in Pittsburgh. Hopefully he doesn't get in arguments and, you know, everything that goes along with that with not winning. So I just hope he can handle that and keep us cool and understand that they're rebuilding. You know, next year they might go 4-12. They might not have a good year. But when things go bad, you know, people start arguing and things just, people get frustrated with each other. So I just hope he'll be able to come in and understand what's going on and to stay calm and realize that they're rebuilding and that just everything works out. So other than that, I'm happy for Antonio Brown. I'm happy with the Oakland Raiders. The Raider Nation have a good start from what they did last year with the trades and getting rid of people. So Chuckie's well on his way. So if they have a good NFL draft this year, and the new move to Las Vegas, that should be all right. I don't like how they're moving out of California, but that's going to be another video. So let's wrap this up.
Talked about winning a Super Bowl or winning a championship or being a part of that legacy. He told you, I want my guaranteed money and I want things done my way. And it seems like he's gotten that.
He's also joining a team and a franchise that revels in the bombastic. They don't